What is up, wrestling card fans? Welcome to the Huskerhav Wrestling Card Podcast. This is a special episode. I don't know if anybody's heard, but there's kind of big news going on this week. Turns out WWE has terminated Panini's contract to make trading cards. Before we get into it, how you doing, gentlemen?
Good, man.
Everything's great.
Of course, we have Huskerhav himself up there. We have the one and only David Peck down in the corner there, and Mike
going on, guys?
Down in the other side. So, you know. Come on, Anthony.
Who's showing up?
Oh my God, it's the Boogeyman.
How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing good.
Right on.
Damn.
Okay.
The boogeyman makes an appearance, baby.
That's right.
Let's talk Panini.
Let's talk Panini. Of course,
Yeah,
we're
let's
also
let's
joined by
talk-
the Boogeyman. So, yeah, that was
Let's-
my corny idea to add that music, but I kind of liked it.
No,
so.
that was
I
awesome.
liked it. I thought it was awesome.
Hey, I want to throw it out there quick. Just two of our guests, Mike and Dave, were pretty much spot on through the last couple years with some of their thoughts, their ideas, and their stuff. And now that we're seeing what is happening, I just want to kind of throw it out to both of you guys and say kudos to taking a chance, speaking your voice, and not falling in with the masses. When you saw something different than what other people were trying to say, why don't you give us just a quick little overview, each one of you, your thoughts of what has happened and what this means kind of to you, knowing that you were right and others were wrong.
Go ahead, Dave. You go first. We'll go in order there.
Well, I'll tell you, I was actually very excited when the Panini release came out. I thought it was big news for the wrestling hobby, and there was a lot of buzz. And I had a contact at Panini that sent me a box, so I was the first one to open a box online. And I did a live break, and I thought, man, this is great. I was pumped when I pulled a Braun Breaker card. The talk on Blowout was, hey, this is going to be like a $40 to $80 card. And, so I went to bed feeling like, hey, this is pretty sweet. I get up the next day and I start seeing listings, and people just started undercutting each other like instantly. Like the first auction was up to like $80, $90. And I thought, okay, well, it's on its way. And then all of a sudden the buy it now would come at $49.99, and then another buy it now at $24.99. So it told me something was awry, and that basically people were buying this to immediately sell. So I was just skeptical once I saw supply and demand that people just wanted to sell it. So it wasn't so much that I didn't think the product was good. I just thought, hey, there's something wrong here. Joey, it's nice to see him make an appearance. He will agree with this. We collect. I mean, he collects a lot more stuff than I do. But the Wrestling All-Stars. I mean, people buy those cards to kind of hold on to them. I mean, sure, there's a few people that are trying to flip them. I get that. But a lot of times people buy them and they want to hold them. So I had never seen anything like that. There had never been a product launch like Panini with so much crossover buzz, where every podcaster and breaker and so on was getting into it. So it just seemed to me like a selling avalanche, and I didn't think the prices were sustainable. And I put that out there, and obviously people didn't like that, but obviously it played out. So
Go ahead, Mike.
So first and foremost, I just want to say I did make it out of the closet today. My Jeff Hardy pillow buddy's here with me. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, so I mean, with Panini, I mean, I've been in other sports for many years, Mike, just like you, so you as well as I do, Panini they don't care about, sustaining value. They care about products. They care about making money. They care about printing stuff. We saw this collapse with the basketball market. We saw this collapse with the the football market. I mean, I remember selling a guy would go during COVID. A guy would go off for not even go off. Okay, a guy with a bull went for like 15.10. Okay, and his cards went from $2 to $40 within an hour. Okay, that's the stuff. And once people realized this, and that pandemic was over, and everybody was, this is all back to normal. So with Panini, I made a lot of enemies, and I don't give a fuck. You know what?
Right.
I'm gonna keep it 100 at all times. You either love me or you hate me. There is no in between with me. I keep it 100, and I don't give a fuck. That's the way I was raised. So, plain and simple, Panini just overproduces their products, and that's just what it is. And none of those prisms, those regular rookies, or any of those silver rookies, or the blue, red, and whites, or the greens, or what, none of them are ever going to hold value. Never. Never. So I mean, I just knew when I saw when I saw silver Hogan's going for $300, I'm like, are these people out of their fucking minds? What is going on? Of course, golds are always going to. I've said this a million times. Golds are always going to hold value. Lower print stuff is usually going to hold value, but that stuff's it's just mass printed. And I even did. I was talking with Dave, and I told him exactly what was going to happen with that John Cena color glass card that sold for like $7,000. I go, no, bro. What's going to happen? He's going to get an email, and the guy's going to say, oh yeah, I can't pay for this. Sure enough, it got. The thing with Panini is it gets shill bidded, and Panini's a name, and like he said, every breaker in the world is buying it. People are buying it, and that's just how it is.
Well, let me chime in real quick because Mike, the cleaner, he gave everybody the roadmap. It was actually, I was almost shocked at how accurate he was. I sort of couldn't believe that the play-by-play, like each comment he would make, a day, 2 days, 5 days later, it was like, wow, it's playing right out just like he said. So that was impressive.
The other thing I wanted to interject in there quick was Ty, the collector, who built that tracking for the very rare cards. He was one that came on with Mike when we did Panini initially, the Good, the Bad, the Ugly podcast. And these guys were talking, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but Ty was one who initially said redemptions are not being sent. All these people who think that they're getting all these, and we're going to talk about redemptions a little bit later, but it just comes to the fact that him and Mike were the two people that were saying you're not getting everything that you're being promised by Panini, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you have so many people out there going, oh yeah, they have to send the stuff. They have to send it. Oh yeah, buy it now, save some money. Buy the redemption, redeem it. When you get it, you can, it'll be worth a lot more. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, I never understood that. But Joe, you picked up some very rare Panini items, and I'm sure you're still going to hunt those, because I think as the price of stuff totally plummets over the next year or two, I think a lot of this rare stuff's going to show up. You're going to still be gobbling that stuff up, correct?
I mean, maybe some of the golds, I like the golds. I think the best thing, 2 seconds, gentlemen, I apologize. Sorry.
That's the thing with Joey while he's gone real quick. Joey, when it comes to buying that stuff, he buys the golds. He buys the stuff.
The good stuff.
He's a very smart, he knows the, you know what I mean? Joey knows the industry, and he buys the good stuff. He buys the golds. He'll buy the blacks. He'll buy things like that. He's not going after a Bailey autograph number to 49. He's not going. Undertaker autographs are under $150. Under $150 for an Undertaker number to 49.
What's so crazy, like when it comes to Panini, and I think the perfect example is the Panini Silver Prism. Okay, look at how desirable they have been in basketball and football, soccer, and then when it comes to WWE, they are nothing. Nothing. They are absolutely nothing, and that just blows my mind. Right. I'm kind of with Dave. Like the prices right after release were insane. I mean, they're absolutely insane and not sustainable. And what's really crazy is like all the hate that these two gentlemen got. I mean, honestly, just for
Right.
Pointing out the facts. I mean, the cleaner brings like really fiery opinions, okay, or whatever, but they're factual. They really are. Dave strictly pointed out what was happening, from a I guess a financial mind perspective, and he was dead on. Both these guys were dead on. Now, I don't hate Panini. I think the overproduction is crazy. I think, they've just released set after set after set after set, and the redemption stuff is just insane. Anybody who's bought that stuff and is holding it or holding sealed wax, good luck.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about the redemptions right now. Like, this is the one thing, like, all you guys have been talking about the redemptions and trying to warn people, and it falls on deaf ears most of the time. But the simple fact is, if they lose the license, they literally cannot get autographs of anybody they don't already have the autographs for. Like, that's just not a debatable fact. It's not going to be WWE will let that. No, WWE doesn't give a shit about the autographs that they didn't send out, that they put redemptions for in their product. If they lose the license and it's legally declared that, yep, WWE can do that, then there's no way that they can get anybody that they don't already have a sticker autograph or already have an on-card autograph in their possession for. So they're going to give you whatever they want to give you for those redemptions, just like they did in every other sport. This is nothing new, but for some reason, you have voices out there that are trying to tell people things that are different than every other sport that's always ever happened with this company. So that's the end of my rant.
And one thing I would add to that, and you guys can all comment after that, is the big difference between, I think, the WWE and the NFL in dealing with Paninis. WWE has said no more. They've specifically come out and said we don't want releasing anything more whatsoever. And they've even gone as given the legal ease to say that we are not granting you any rights to any of this stuff from here on out. So anyone out there with a piece of paper that says, I'm going to get a tribal chief autograph with Paul Heyman on it, and you've got voices telling you, you're going to get that card, like they were making fun of Mike when we had our podcast, when he was saying these redemptions aren't being shipped, and these voices out there saying, everything's being shipped. WWE, the way that they're handling it compared to what the NFL has done is totally different, because WWE is saying, you're done. You don't get to do anymore. And if this sticks up in court, guess what? Panini is dead. All this product that's sitting out there, Elite and everything that they think is going to be dropped, if this goes through and WWE gets what they want, it's over. It's done. Finished.
Elite is like the worst Panini product anyway. I mean, honestly, God, like in every
why'd they make that?
Who would want that anyway?
Joey, I'll just let me interject this. It don't matter what Panini product was coming out. Yeah. The voices that misled our hobby, they're going to come out there and they're going to say the next Panini product is, by God, the market standard for wrestling cards, because they've done that with everything. They did it with Prism. They did it with Revolution. They did it with Chronicles. They did it. It wouldn't matter. But sorry, Joey, go ahead. But I just want to throw that in there.
Chronicles, another shitty product. Okay, again, not a fan of that one. I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I personally I'm a longtime Topps fan as well, so I'm okay with them getting the license back. I feel bad for the guys who've been misled into buying these redemptions and who they're probably going to get. I mean, as of I think it was not yesterday, the day before, so Thursday. There's a select Bray Wyatt redemption from this year on eBay. I think it was up over $100. Bro, that's not. I'm guessing that's not getting fulfilled. Like, why are people even bidding on it?
Yeah.
I mean, not good stuff.
It's crazy.
When I busted a box, I got an Alexa Bliss, and it was a redemption, and it was I think the most common Alexa Bliss signature. But it was kind of an interesting process because you get this white card with what tells you what you got, but there's codes on it stuff. it would have been kind of nice to just pull the Alexa Bliss, right? Like, how neat would that be to be like, oh, here's
Right,
an autograph card versus a white piece of paper. But fortunately, my process, went pretty smoothly, right? But the reality of it is that this is a tremendous risk to wax boxes. I think, I've ripped a number of the 2002 WWE Fleer Royal Rumble boxes, and naturally, Fleer is a defunct company. I pulled a Terry Runnels autograph, and you just have basically the redemption card. Now, I will say what was pretty cool is it's a picture of her versus a white piece of paper, so that was kind of neat. I actually got it signed. But the bottom line is that historically in the card world, people buy popular product and put it away for the long term, right? There is an asset class within the hobby of sealed wax boxes, and this to me is an incredibly risky situation because ultimately, that if you sit on that box for more than 2-3 years, the odds favor that the redemption is not getting filled. And so that kills a lot of the value of, the content. So I think it's pretty dangerous. And Joey and I actually sort of shared some comments on that Bray Wyatt. Like, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He's not signing that card.
Yeah.
Yeah, it blows my mind that people are actually bidding on that. I mean, we all know that it's not getting signed. I mean,
it's the last one you'd want to bid on.
Yeah. I mean, what's really interesting, I'm going to point this out as well because I haven't actually heard this anywhere, but just keep this in mind. Norm Keitzer and Panini both made cards the same amount of time. And Cleaner's boy Huey says that the Norm Keitzer stuff is not even collectible.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Garbage.
Yeah, but those are the voices that was saying also that an MJF Limitless is a trash card, that the people from Limitless were going to mass produce those cards as soon as they saw what they were going to start selling for. Again, hasn't happened. These voices that are out there that have done great disservice to our hobby, again, are just wrong. They were wrong about everything, and they continue to be wrong. I don't know how, at the end of the day, anyone gives some of those individuals any credence in regards to what they have to say, because they've just been wrong.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I've never understood how how two of those gentlemen, and we know who we're talking about, how they became authorities on the wrestling card hobby. I mean, they both come out and said they have only been into it, for maybe 4 or 5 years. Like, what made you the authority? I mean, obviously, like, your track record is not good, buddy. So.
Yeah. And
Mike, you're laughing in the corner. I'm sure you got something you would like to interject.
I mean, to kind of piggyback on Dave when he was saying he got that Alexa redemption and it got fulfilled quickly and everything went smooth. Of course it did. They were a brand new company. They had a brand new product, a brand new license. They need everything to go smooth, right? They want everybody to think everything is different than what they did in the past, right? So of course that all went smooth. Let me just say this, okay? What I've been saying about redemptions, the fact that iMac had over 80 redemptions in their product. Okay, for a $450 box, you're opening a $450 box, and almost every box had a redemption in it. And first of all, if you didn't get a redemption in there, kiss your fucking money goodbye, because every good card was a redemption. So if you didn't see a redemption, you might as well just toss them in the trash, okay? Because you're getting Riddle, okay? You're getting Shanky, and you're getting other guys, okay? Straight up. So my thing is this, okay? If anybody thinks with what is going on with Panini right now, between the NFL, between the WWE, between all the lawsuits and all the bullshit and the money they're hemorrhaging right now, if anybody thinks any thought in their mind is thinking, damn, I got to get that fucking Roman redemption out to fucking Peter Brown, he's going to be mad. You're on
exactly.
Do you think they still got to pay postage to send that to you too? These boys are hemorrhaging money. They're in court every other day. Yes, their main concern is getting your redemption out. So my thing is this, okay? people that were asking about the redemptions, I got a lot of DMs about them. Okay. And I told the people, I'm like, I wish you would have listened to me from the start. I'm sorry. I tried to tell people, but it is what it is. And honestly, are you going to get it? If you don't get it in the next couple weeks, probably not. Then I watch a show talking about redemptions recently. And these guys are saying, one of the guys says to give Panini a call and
good luck
and ask for Mike.
Oh, they're on the phone.
Call Panini. Wait. If you haven't got your redemption yet, call Panini and ask for a replacement. Bro, I called Panini for a year and a half straight to try and get an answer on my Aaron Judge card. They are not answering their phones. Nope. Please try calling. And then anyone who's watching this, watch the other one. Please call for as long as you need to, because it ain't going to happen in one day. Call all day long. That's what I did. I just hit redial. Okay? And then you let me know who was right. Okay? If I was right or, someone else was right. I don't know.
Let me point out, too, again, Panini is a company, and I don't know how people don't talk about this. They have been fighting in court to try to get legal precedence that a redemption card is not a legally binding contract. Meaning that if you they could put a redemption for anybody in there, but we don't really legally have to fill it. Like, come on, like what? You want to trust that a company that's fighting to make that not a contract is going to give two shits about your Roman Reigns autograph?
Mike, the interesting thing is, if anyone has an ounce of sense, and they have other people that collect other sports, you will hear the same problem in football, basketball. You name it. Anything that deals with Panini and especially anything that's what they consider a high dollar or a high visibility redemption, people are sitting and waiting and not getting shit returned.
Here's the difference, between those sports and wrestling. Those people know they're probably not going to get it, but the wrestling collectors, because people are out there standing on their soapbox and saying, "Oh, you're going to get it, you're going to get it." Don't believe those voices.
Exactly.
Those other sports, they know it. Like if you pull a Panini, a really good redemption, you're like, "Oh my god, I really hope I get this card." But
the interesting thing, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys can, throw what you feel. But when you read what WWE has told Panini, they've said no more. Well, they're not saying, oh, you can fill redemptions for the next 2 or 3 years, or they're saying no more. We are done with you, period. So how anyone could sit there if this goes through the court, which I think it's going to. WWE has a burden to prove that they were kind of screwed in their contract that they had with Panini. If they win, which I believe they will, there's nothing that can be done from here on out. There ain't no more Panini, period. WWE's already said it. So how can anyone out there who's the quote unquote self-appointed voices of the hobby pretend to act like they know what's going to happen with Panini when if this all goes through, Panini's dead? They're not going to be able to go back and mail redemptions after the fact. WWE said no more of our product, period. Where am I wrong?
Okay, also think about it from this perspective, okay? Like, look at what's happened with Panini America in the past 6 months with everybody jumping ship. Who's going to be there to fulfill anything?
All the employees, right?
Let's be real.
Exactly.
I mean, the company, bro, it's a dumpster fire right now.
They're in bad shape. And I don't care what Brian Gray says on Twitter. They don't have the money that people are trying to act like they have.
Right.
You're losing the football license. You're losing WWE. You only have basketball. They're going to lose that soon.
Yeah,
and you just had a $25 million judgment to wild card. So there's $25 million just gone to a company that doesn't even exist anymore. Like, I found it interesting that in the WWE statement, they said it was for breach of contract. So, like, we've heard Panini, like, anything, first of all, anybody watching this, anything you hear is only from Panini's side, because everything WWE is doing right now is sealed. So even Paul Lesko, who's the one person in the hobby that's actually putting this information out there, and everybody else is just mimicking it and making their own deductions from it. There's nothing to be known right now. They had the hearing on the temporary restraining order on Friday. Panini gave their side. So their side was, it was about, digital and gaming cards that they didn't make, but they did make. But again, remember, when you hear that, that is what was written by Panini's high-priced lawyers. Like Paul Lesko even said himself, if you don't think that they're going to win only hearing their side, their lawyers aren't doing what they're getting paid to do. So like, nobody can judge right now what's going to happen, because we don't know WWE's side. It's going to be interesting. Like the breach of contract, I mean, that's a pretty strong statement. Like even the NFLPA didn't say that Panini breached their contract.
Right. I think WWE, they have to have basically all their guns in order to lay out the reasoning as a breach of contract. Anyone who knows anything in business, a breach of contract is a huge thing when it comes to agreements between two companies. And if this is what WWE is saying it is,
that essentially voids the contract.
That's right.
Breach of contract.
That's right.
The contract. Okay.
That's
so
right.
Essentially, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, the contract is void. So if people want to think that Panini's going to, go in there and win some crazy, thing to keep making cards for the next couple of years, I think they're out of their minds. I think it's over. Like it's over. That is a door now.
And it's obvious. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah. Right.
Panini America is not going to be around within a certain period of time. They're going to pack up shop and they're going to be done, and they're going to go back to Europe and they're going to make money selling soccer stickers. Yeah. Like they have nothing left here. Like I had a card shop from 1991 to 2004. I saw Pacific go out of business. I saw Pinnacle go out of business. I saw Leaf go out of business. I saw Fleer go out of business. Like they go away. Like it happens and they're done. Their IP might be bought up by somebody else, but like this is absolutely, regardless of anything, the end of the road for this company. They're in all these lawsuits. They're going to be spending millions upon millions of dollars just fighting to try to keep something they're going to lose anyway. They're not going to continue to do that. They're going to try to win these little battles so they can get rid of what they produced. And then they're going to make a deal with Fanatics and they're going to give up the license. Fanatics is going to pay them money and they're going to be gone. You heard it here first, but that's the only solution I see, because there's an end of the road for Panini regardless. So if your car is like smoking and you have 2 miles to go, are you going to keep just driving the car just to try to make that 2 miles? Or you're going to be like, well, you know what? I'm only going 2 more miles anyway. I'm giving up my car right here. Like there is an end. They already lost the licenses. It's just a question of whether it's going to happen now, in 6 months, or in 2.5 years. So,
Mike, you just brought some really good history to the discussion, because I've been collecting, baseball cards and basketball cards, for a long time during that phase. But you saw it from the card shop perspective, not just the collector's perspective. So I think that was some excellent insight.
The one thing I worry about, though, and this was the Fleer thing, and it happened with another company. I don't know if you're familiar with Collector's Edge, but they had fire sales when they went out of business. And all those, like, we already see multiple one-of-ones that end up being put into packaging. All the stuff they have printed to replace ended up getting sold. Like, I'm sure, David, you're aware of like the Fleer autographs and relics and stuff from the early 2000s. Like a lot of that stuff came out that should have been numbered, but there are copies that aren't numbered, or autographed ones that weren't actually autographed. And those were all fire sale stuff. So like, knowing Panini and all the crap they produce, they probably have a shit ton of that stuff. And I'm really worried, because like, Collector's Edge had some really cool low numbered insert cards, and it's all worthless now because people don't know what came out of the fire sale and what was actually pulled out of a pack. And same thing with Fleer. There's a lot of stuff. They had really low numbered stuff, but now people don't have any faith in whether, well, somebody bought that for 2 cents at the fire sale or it's worth $1,000. So another thing for Panini collectors to consider, like this could have a huge impact on future value. If they have extra gold cards printed for replacement and they come out in a fire sale, the shit's over with. The value is just going to drop. I hope that doesn't happen with that stuff, but you don't know.
Well, as somebody who has actually had to try to get replacements from Panini, I mean, I don't know how much they got printed because it takes forever. I mean, it takes forever. And even when you do get something, it seems like they're just sending you something somebody else sent in. Like, I mean, seriously, so my experience, I opened a whole lot of 2020 Panini football. Okay. And I remember sending in a DeAndre Swift, okay, like a silver DeAndre Swift, okay. That, like, when I got it, it had a printer's line like right down the middle. Ugh. Dude, to this day, I don't know if I've ever got a replacement. I don't think I have. I don't think I've ever got a replacement at all. I mean, and whatever. I mean, it is what it is, but good luck. I don't know how much extra goals they got sitting around. And
hopefully not. Yeah, hopefully not.
All the people that have left Panini America in the past 6 to 7 months, man.
It might be the one good thing about the fact that Panini doesn't really give a shit about, redemptions or fulfilling things or replacing damaged cards.
Well, there's going to be a sticker dump coming. I mean, whether people like it or not, it's coming.
Yeah, they are.
Somehow, some way, if they got stickers of all those wrestlers just sitting around, they're going to get them out and try and make money on them one way or another. Whether it's behind the scenes or whether they go on their website and do it and just dime these things out to people, just, $10 for an Alexa Bliss autograph. What do you think that's going to do to Alexa Bliss autographs? I mean, let's look at, this is another thing too. Another, something I saw on, recent podcast. Bret Hart autographs, I guess, have no value anymore. He was never valuable. Okay, he was never a big guy, I guess. But I remember that his Topps autographs never sold for under $100. Never, you couldn't touch one for under $100, period. Okay, and his autographs are selling for $30.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he signs a ton.
I just pulled one and I looked it up. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to keep that one.
Right. I guess he signs a shit ton. So it's crazy. I mean, no wonder they're only $30. But he also signed a shit ton when Topps had it, and they were $100. So it's
wrestling too. Like, there's a very small pool of athletes. Like, at least in football, you have rookies coming in every year. You have a hell of a lot more players playing in the league in those major sports than you do wrestling. And when you break it down to the number of people actually want to collect, it's even smaller. So every year you have another Roman Reigns autograph in this set, and then in that set, and this set. And there's nothing special about them. Like, give me a gold card with no autograph over an autograph any day, because the autographs are going to reach the critical mass and be like kind of really not worth a whole lot, I think, at some point.
So here's the thing too. Wrestling collectors are completely different than any other sport.
Hey, absolutely.
We all know this. Okay? We all know this, right? We're all fucking marks, no matter what we want to say. Okay, fucking mark. I'm a fucking mark. Look at my room I'm sitting in. I'm a fucking junkie. I shouldn't say that. That'll be all shit all there. Yeah. All kinds of shit. Now I'm a junkie and a meth head. Anyways, so when it comes to something like that, Bret Hart, and he has so many autographs out there. You know what he has out there? He has autographs that guys waited in line to meet him with. He has 8x10s out there. He has a lot of signed figures out there. You know what I mean? He has all that kind of stuff signed. He doesn't have cards because, you know what? A lot of wrestling fans don't do cards. A lot of them don't.
That is actually
true. The majority of them don't. Mm-hmm. The majority of them are figure collectors. They buy the figure, they get the paint pen, they wait in line, they meet their hero, and they get it signed, and they have a 3-minute conversation with them, and they're happy as a pig in shit. Okay? That's completely different than pulling an autograph out of a box. So again, when there's a shit ton of autographs out there for somebody like Bret Hart, that shit ton of autographs is on 8x10s. That's on figures. That's on things like that. That's not on cards. Okay? It's not. So when a card of Bret Hart is selling, an autograph is selling for $30, that is because Bret Hart has probably 2,000 autographs in a select set, because he has his base one, right? Then he has a silver one, right? Then he has a red one, right? Then he has a blue one. Then, and go down the list. Okay? So that's why the autograph cards are $30. It ain't because he signs a lot.
So let's take this in a different direction. So what are the positives for Topps getting the license back?
The positives for Topps getting the license back, if you look back at Topps stuff, they didn't put all those. So the reason why those cards were valuable with Topps is because they didn't put Undertaker in every set. They didn't put Triple H in every set. They put those legends they saved for specific sets, like Undisputed.
It's special.
You know what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah.
The fully loaded, which is $70 per box, and you get one card. And guess what? Even in those boxes, they didn't come out very often. They did not come out of those boxes. It was hard. They were hard.
I know. I bought 6 of them.
Yeah, they were hard.
And the guy who bought the one other one at the card shop that I didn't buy got the Roman Reigns.
Never leave the last box.
I know. He's a guy I'm friendly with. I was gonna buy all of them, but he was gonna get one too, and I said, yeah, go ahead, pick the one you want. I was like, okay, dumbass. But that's a good question. Like, going forward though, like, can you put the toothpaste back in the tube? Like, people now have seen it's done this way. If you look at like Topps Chrome baseball and stuff, it's no different than Panini Prism in another sport. Like 8 billion different parallels. They do like parallels of the whole sets and release them as a different set. Like, they could do a logo fractor one with the WWE logo in the background for all we know. So,
but I don't think. But you know what, though, Mike? I don't think they'll do that. I don't.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. What do you guys think might be their strategy going forward?
You're going to approach that differently again, because Topps knows the wrestling fans are different. You're not going to be able to put out a Topps Chrome, they might do a Topps Sapphire, but a logo fractor, and then a Breaker's Delight, and all these other ones they have. They know this already. They've been in our industry. They know this. What I'm saying is Topps knows how to make a card hold its value and sustain its value, similar to AEW. People want to say whatever they want to say about Upper Deck. I'm going to tell you something right now. They don't water down this market, and their cards are going to hold value in the long run. Period. I don't care. Mark my words. In the long run, they're going to hold value. Topps. I would love to see Topps kind of step it up a little bit, and instead of doing stuff like those $60 boxes, $70 boxes they used to do, like Road to WrestleMania and stuff, I'd like to see them do stuff like a Triple Threads or like a Tier 1. You know what I mean?
Or give us an NXT Bowman set with the first Bowman card.
There you go.
How cool would that be?
That's what I'm calling
That's
for.
money.
Yeah.
How cool would that
I would love that. Like, I would buy a case of that if it came out. Just like, you could prospect.
That would be
wrestling.
true. That would be, people want to talk about wrestling prospecting. That would be true prospecting.
Yeah. I would love that.
And to keep it affordable, because I'm going to tell you something, like when I was 12, 13 years old, that's when I was really like, that's when I was a real collector, man. Not, buying every perfect card out there. But like, I do think that affordable boxes, I do think they are important. I'll be honest with you, man. Like, one of my favorite like Panini releases is Revolution, because Revolution's
Revolution's
exactly affordable.
And it's great for breaking too. Like
there you go.
It's affordable, and you know what I mean. You don't have to, and you can pull big hits out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And like with the iMac, like you're talking about, I mean, bro, even if you pull a nice card that's not a redemption, they're this thick, and the best you're gonna do is a 7. I'm gonna tell you something. PSA 7 is the best you're gonna do. Like,
they're not grading. Yeah, they're not grading good at all. Yeah. But then that goes back to the fact of what I said about, the boxes as well. Like I said about the oh my god, I lost my train of thought. No, I had a good one too. About the the boxes as far as like the raising and up in price and value and stuff like that. See, what is supposed to happen is a box is supposed to come out at a low price, okay, and over time it's supposed to go up in value, okay. But it goes back to my point of with the Revolution, for instance, that's the lowest end set they produce. But guess what? Guess what? Guess who's in that? Guess who has autographs in that set?
Everybody.
Undertaker, Cena, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, everybody. They've ruined.
They flooded it.
What Panini has done to the autograph market is they have completely ruined it. They have flooded it, like you said. They have completely ruined it. And you know what? Base Revolution autographs. Who the fuck knows how many of those are out there? Okay. Yeah. Base Prism autographs that don't have serial numbers on them. God only knows how many of those are out there. I mean, there could be 3,000 Undertaker bases out there. We don't know.
And I think that that's the problem that people, because so there's tribalism in wrestling. Sure. Okay, whatever. But the thing is, man, yeah, a little. But the thing is, man, is like, the boxes are so expensive that yes, you expect when you spend that much money on a box, you want to hold some value. And bro, I'll tell you something. The Panini boxes have been lottery tickets. They're scratchers, dude. They really are, man. I mean, dude, I got hammered on some of those first off the line, first year Panini Prism boxes. Yeah. And like the best thing that I ever pulled out of the ones that I bought was a Hogan numbered to 49. They graded a PSA 9. You know what that's at now.
Yeah. So it's selling for what a base one sells for. So
right. So I mean, they really did, man. The overproduction, everybody that's ever been on the roster in every single product, it does kind of kill it. I'm all for accessibility, but my God, bro, like protect the people that are willing to pay how much you're selling boxes for.
Well, that's I was talking with Anthony earlier, and we were talking about this, and I said, a box of 2023 Select right now is $199.99 at my local hobby shop, which is Dave and Adams, which is the biggest hobby place in the world. Yeah. Okay, so they usually have the lowest prices. Now you can buy a box of that. You can pull an HBK autograph out of there and one of those color wheels. Color wheels are 1 in 5 cases. Think about that. 12 boxes per case at $200. I did the math earlier. It was something like $12,000. So for every $12,000 you spend, quote unquote, you're supposed to get a color wheel. These color wheels ain't even getting $150. I watched a Warrior and the other day for $130.
Yep.
So you can pull an Ultimate Warrior color wheel and an HBK autograph and still not get your money back.
That's crazy. Why are you buying any more boxes then? I mean, seriously.
Why are you buying
but you guys got to remember that was the big ploy that the influencers told everyone. Oh, look at Select. You're gonna have the color blasts in it, and it's gonna be super rare, and they're gonna be super valuable. But look what happened. Look what happened.
The funny thing to me is, the people saying that these cards are valuable and the market's doing great right now and they're going to hold their value. Bro.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit since, I have my own opinions, but I'll save it. But let's go around the wheel here and talk a little bit about okay, Topps is taking over the license, whether it's soon or a little bit later, that's happening. So where do you think the prices on Panini stuff goes after that happens? What's going to be better to hold? What's going to be stuff you really should get rid of now while it still has some value?
Well, let me jump in there first.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the simple fact, I sell the stuff, and I've actually gone to card shows as a dealer, and I can tell you from my perspective, Panini sits on tables. It doesn't move. The last couple shows that I went to in Kansas City, and we're getting ready to do one in Denver and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm anxious to see how these other markets go, but by and large, you have dealers that would have some wrestling. That's the thing that the voices at B say, wrestling has made it big. It's at every store. I mean, it's at every card show, and they're filling up the cases. It's an outright lie. That's not how these shows are at all. You'll have some Panini, and majority of it there is usually an autograph of someone. But what I see by and large is not people going up to buy them. They'll go by and they'll see, oh, look, there's a Stone Cold autograph or a Hulk Hogan autograph. And you'll have another dealer come approach the other dealer wanting to buy that because they think they're going to make some more money from what that guy's selling. But the stuff sits. Now, that's the high-end stuff. Now, if you're talking about your base product, your low-level autographs and all that stuff, it's not moving. So when these guys who do not sell for a living are telling people that the market is great and that everything is doing well, it is in wrestling for, guess what? Wrestling All-Stars, Flair products, very rare relics, that kind of stuff. But the Panini stuff, I can tell you, I go to my local card shop about it once a month, and they'll have 2 or 3 3,200 count boxes filled with Panini wrestling that they give me for free.
Now, David, you don't collect a lot of newer stuff, but like you've been through time periods where card companies have gone out of business. Like, so you've seen this before too. Like, what are your feelings on cards from a company that's probably not going to be around?
Well, I think where I took a lot of heat early on is I had never seen cards drop as much as Panini, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it was just one, it's a new phase in the market, right? But like when I in 2009 started buying wrestling cards, I mean, they were so dirt cheap that they were naturally starting to rise in price as people bought them. So I saw a completely different market, and some of that's just the timing, right? But what I had said early on that I thought was a real problem is, and I'm just using more like economic terms, but there's too many close substitutes, right? So if you've got one number to 10 and 20 and 50 and 100 and so on, there's just so many of them. And so it naturally makes it to where the 1 of 1 or the 1 of 3 or the 1 of 10 is essentially all that anybody's really, really interested in. Well, but the problem with that is people are buying those to flip. And so if somebody buys it and then wants to sell it, 6 months down the road, 2 months down the road, etc., you got to find another buyer. And so, we saw that with the Dwayne Johnson, the gold, right? They were trading for big money on the private market, and a few popped up and they sell, and you run out of buyers. And so to me, I think the big wild card with all of this is that if indeed this redemption situation is the problem that it appears to be, you're going to see people have no choice but to rip boxes, right? You've got to get those redemptions as quick as possible, and it may still be a loss, but you've got to try. So all of a sudden, if let's say you have a number to 10 and only 4 of them have surfaced and a bunch of the others are still in boxes, well, people rip the boxes, and now those rarer cards are discovered and they want to sell them. And so I think there's a high probability that you're going to see further pressure on the price side. Now, what I think is hard to know is, I mean, think about today, like let's just use somebody like Michael Jordan. And, I thought about this today at the gym because, to me, it was so mind-boggling when early on people were saying that nobody would want to collect the older stuff, that they would only want the new stuff. And, I thought about like Michael Jordan, for example. He was in lots of shiny products, lots of rare inserts that are very, very popular to this day. It didn't stop anybody from collecting his 86 Fleer. It didn't stop anybody from collecting the 84 Star card. So that was really kind of one of the dumbest comments that you could ever make.
Right,
but
right.
Where I think, though, people have to be sort of open-minded is Skybox is no longer around. Fleer's no longer around. So it is possible in the future that somebody will look back and say, hey, there's only now a handful of, Panini rock cards that are good. Maybe they do, attract some value. It's just hard to say, but I don't think them going out of business is necessarily the death punch to say a rock gold. I think the bigger risk is just the card market in general and then future supply. So we'll see. There's a lot of stuff up in the air, and I think we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Mike?
To kind of piggyback, I mean, like you were saying about the rock gold, and I agree with that, and I still will continue to say this: the golds are always going to hold their value. I mean, it is what it is. It's just part of the hobby. But look at how much even golds have dropped off the face of, if you look at just what stuff was selling for, what stuff's selling for now, it's just it's an astronomical difference. As far as will Panini cards hold value in the future? Some of them will, of course. Some of them will. The one-on-ones will. The golds will. As far as whether this company, you would think, okay, they only had it for 2 years, so this stuff should be really sought after, right? No, because the printers were just nonstop working. If they didn't do that, these Panini cards, they lose the license after 2 years. Down the line, these cards would be extremely sought after, in my opinion. What I think is going to be the end all be all, and what's going to start coming up again is the Topps Chrome Gold stuff. That's the Topps Chrome Gold, the Topps Chrome, even though they're numbered to 50 and the Panini's numbered to 10, I think they'll sell for more. I really do. I really do. Because Topps Chrome Gold is the standard of the baseball market and things of that nature. Joey, I even kind of regret selling you that rock gold now. After hearing about this, I was like, man, come on, really? So yeah, I sent him over a rock gold, and I'm like, son of a bitch. But that's just a matter of time will tell. As far as like all the just regular stuff, the autographs number to 199, the regular inserts number to 199, all that stuff, it's all junk. Burn it. Okay? Toss it in a fucking fire pit because it's junk wax era bullshit again. Okay? There are going to be stuff that's sought after. I'm so happy Topps is taking back control of the license because, again, Topps doesn't water down the market. Topps will hopefully make the autographs of the legends more valuable again. And, we'll just have to wait and see.
Joey?
Okay, so I think, honest to God, the roadmap for this has already been played out in 2002. This is Fleer. Which 2002 Fleer cards are desirable? I mean, you're talking Batista, Cena, Randy Orton, Brock. That's 4 cards. So, I mean, 10, 15 years from now, let's see what people are actually looking for from these releases. I really hope that, I really hope the golds, I really hope the color blasts, I really hope the kabooms. I hope that these cards stay desirable. We'll see, I don't want to see collectors burn, man. I mean, that's the thing is, one thing I will say, I do think that Panini did pull more collectors into wrestling cards. Okay. I don't think that you can really, I don't think that you can really say they did, and they did. Okay. And whether it was flippers or whatever, but I don't know. I hope some of those people stayed. I hope some of those people started watching this show every week, man. I hope like a lot of those people like me just love wrestling. Okay. And if they did, man, that's great. And I do think that maybe 10, 15 years from now, I think that these cards, I think you'll be okay. But if you bought these cards just to flip, bro, good luck. Good luck.
If you bought them at those high prices,
situation.
Yeah, if you bought them at those high prices, you're never going to recoup that.
Right, exactly.
And I agree too. Like Prism stuff's going to be nostalgia for a big group of people for quite a while, in probably about 10 years or so. So even if it drops off, you're going to have all those people who were teenagers or in their early 20s that are going to be in their 30s and pushing 40 that look back like, I loved that Prism stuff. It's no different than all the people that got back into cards like myself, like after COVID, and like I love my 90s and early 2000s stuff, because that was nostalgia for me. That's when I had my shop. This is what I had memories and ties to. And Prism, like it's been around since what, 2009 in basketball. So, it's been around a long time, and that name will absolutely come back around, and people will have the same nostalgia that they do now toward like Wrestling All-Stars or, a Jordan card from the 90s. So I feel like there could be like a lull for a while. That stuff's never going to be worthless. I mean, it's too rare and too popular to ever be worthless. Will it maybe lose some interest when the next shiny new toy comes out? Always. It was probably going to do that anyway, though, even if Panini didn't lose the license. So that's just the normal ebb and flow of having collectibles like that. But like you said, if you're buying them to flip, you might lose your ass. But if you bought them, for a longer term investment, or just because you love wrestling cards, like, again, I have Paul Heyman cards over my shoulder there. How many people are grading 2014 and 2015 Topps Chrome Paul Heyman? This guy is probably the only guy that is, but like, I want to own 10% of the golds from those sets. It's just my weird little thing I like to do. But, people that do it because they love it. Yeah, exactly. Like, that this stuff will have value. It's never going to go to zero. It might go down a little, but again, nothing ever goes to zero other than like, the real, I don't know. I can sell a junk wax era common card, so nothing goes to zero.
I mean, I'll tell you what, if this is, like I say, if you are like a player collector, right, or a wrestler collector, or that, now's the time to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And now's the best possible time to buy, because now the stuff is at probably its lowest. So yeah, I mean, now would be the time to buy it. And yeah, who knows, in the future, some of the stuff may go up, but the fact that, again, if you're an Ultimate Warrior fan and you can go and get a 1 in 5 cases color wheel for $140, oh, do it now. Believe me, do it now, because those are the ones that might sustain the value or raise in value down the line, because they are 1 in 5 cases. Mm-hmm. I was shocked when I saw how low they were selling for. Absolutely shocked. That just says to me, what the hell is going, like, I can't even understand it. Like,
people are so obsessed with the low numbered stuff that they don't understand the rarity of some of the inserts that are put into the stuff now, which is kind of crazy. But again, I'm an old guy. I remember inserts from the 90s, and I look back at the cool ones now and go, oh shit, I can't afford to buy that now. But like, I feel like that day will come around for this stuff too, because it is rare. And when like people live in the now, we all know that. Oh, well, we do all the colors. We have to get every color, get the rainbow. Well, in 10 years, collectors might not collect that way. They might be back into insert cards, and then somebody will be like, oh, let me look at that 2023 select set and be, oh, 1 in 5 cases? And I can buy that for $50. Like, that's how it happens. We all know that. So like, collectors get too caught up in this is how it is now, so it's always going to stay that way. It's never going to change. And we all know, we're all older guys here. We've seen it happen. It changes, and you don't know what, but I don't think you can ever go wrong having something that's rare.
Right, exactly.
Right. And the thing is too, is, regardless of who makes wrestling cards, I'm a wrestling fan. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not a WWE fanboy. And I don't just buy Panini because I'm a WWE fanboy, okay? I buy AEW stuff. I buy independent stuff. I buy all that stuff. And I'm going to continue to do it regardless of who makes the sets. Mm-hmm. That's not what I've been doing with Panini, is just shitting on a company. What I'm doing is I'm telling people, please, you can get this stuff cheaper, or, wait, don't, the stuff, their track record shows that, the redemptions and stuff like that, that's not a good way to do this. Wait till it's live, this and that, yada, yada, yada. It's all been only to help collectors. I don't want to see anyone lose money. That's not what I'm saying. The thing about it is with the redemptions, I don't want to see nobody knock it. I don't want to see somebody not get their card, but it was inevitably going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way it was going, the road it was going down, and their track record showed don't do that. But
the reason I spoke up early on was because honestly, I was not really comfortable seeing so many people about to get fleeced. You know,
Yeah.
you can't when a John Cena whatever it was, Color Blast or whatever it is, was, you know, supposedly $10,000. You know, I'll never forget one of the comments I made that sort of triggered some heat with me and some of the other guys was a Rock number 1 to 3, you know, was estimated at $60,000. And I just was like, wait a second. Like, first of all, 2021 was sort of an anomaly in the history of card collecting. I mean, we saw prices paid in every genre at levels that are, you know, in hindsight, just mind boggling. But you got to think about, you know, 60 grand is 60 grand. I mean, you can go buy a new car of some kind. It could sustain somebody that, you know, for a year or something that doesn't have big spending habits. I mean, that's a lot of money. And so one of the points I made is you got to look at the market cap, right? So if we now have, you know, a Rock Gold, they were saying was, say, 60 grand, that's $600,000 of new money that came into the market. And you have to basically, all those people have to say, I'd rather have the card than the $60,000. Well, we all know that's not how the real world works, that somebody's going to hit the bid. And so it just was so unsustainable. And, you know, there was people really pushing this from an investment standpoint. And look, I understand that cards can be investments. You know, I've certainly, quote unquote, invested in cards. But when you buy something that's brand new, that's $60,000, that there's 10 other or 9 other items, that's a lot of risk. And, you know, obviously it was a house of cards and it, you know, fell apart. But what will be really interesting to see longer term is, like, I commented on a Undertaker Gold that sold for $950. That's still a pretty damn good number when you think about, you know, trading cards. A raw card that's almost $1,000. So
that's
I think
a more realistic number.
Yeah, that one sounds right.
That sounds like I can get behind that, but also I just think it's still pretty impressive. You know, like, as much as people want to kind of say Panini was bad, I there's been a lot of cards that, you know, I see 100, 200, 500, and I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty stout price for a card.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% agree with Dave. I mean, again, $950 for a raw Undertaker card, that's a good price. Mm-hmm. That's not bad. That's good for the hobby. It's trying to convince people that this is a $5,000 or $6,000 card. That's where the harm comes in, and that's where people, that's where somebody ends up getting burned. Okay,
and there was a lot of that. And there's a lot of that still, because there were people that were so loud about it that they can't, if they admit differently, they're wrong. That makes them wrong about everything they did before. You know, so they're still going to cling to it.
You can see that right now, Joey, and I know you can probably talk this a little bit too. I mean, the talking heads was blasting, I think, you recently, because you mentioned how much you like precious metal gems out of Upper Deck. Oh my God, it wasn't a Panini product, that there's something phenomenal that's being released. I mean, you know, I look back at the last 2 years and the tribalism that had started, and I don't understand why we had a group who almost acted like they were bought and paid for by Panini. And they voiced so much. They voiced so much, but it was done out of harm to the rest of the wrestling community. You know, granted, it might be controversial for me to say that, but I'm telling you right now, that crew at wreckingthecommunity.com did a great job to damage wrestling cards in general. And there was more to collecting than just Panini. And for these guys to just go over and over again talking about Panini this, Panini that, Panini. But there was so much other great collectibles that was out there. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I know this is probably going to piss some people off, but, you know, we're being honest. Let's be honest, okay? You have a group show up at the National that pretends like they are speaking on behalf of the wrestling community, okay? They're speaking on behalf of themselves, okay? Not me, not the thousands of people that go to my store and buy from me monthly. But when they go out there and they hammer on everything's great Panini, and then you got a guy voices major concerns and really makes our community look stupid by hammering on Upper Deck and AEW on the national stage. What is that saying about our industry? And one of the other things that you always have people talk about is we all want to be inclusive. We all want everyone to be part of this collecting community. But no, they ran roughshod over everybody. I saw what they did to David. I saw what they did to Rob. I saw what they did to Mike. I saw what they did to all these people because these guys were not championing a product that anyone can go out and buy if they choose to. You guys, I don't know, maybe I'm off the wall when I say it, but there was just something seriously wrong in our hobby the last couple of years with the way social media and the way this peer pressure was brought on in regards to something as simple as a product of trading cards.
Because you had, I mean, and like, I really almost hate to like group everybody at wrestling trading cards together because, I'll be honest with you, man. Like, I think Paul and Tony, I don't think that they're in whatever, but like they're really good guys that work, tirelessly to benefit our community, but you've got dude, like I made a joke probably about a year and a half ago about you can say Panini on Twitter and Ryan or Gelman are going to instantly show up. And bro, for a while, it was like that. Like they're the white knight. If you even say Panini, they show up to defend Panini's honor. I mean, seriously, I really, really hope they were getting like free boxes, free cases.
Exactly. I hope they're getting paid for all that.
Yeah, they need to be getting something because for an individual to go out there and make a comment about wrestling all-stars being junk, when those are the marquee card in our hobby, really tells you how stupid they are as far as individuals when it comes to voices within our hobby. I mean, that's like going out and saying 86, 87 Flair basketball is a junk product because it's the first product made by Flair, or saying a 52 Topps Mantle is junk when it comes to the baseball hobby. I mean,
yeah, he really said, the Gilman really said they're not made to be collected. Okay. Right. Bro, like in the history of trading cards, this stuff wasn't made to be collected. That's shit that's worth a fortune.
That's the whole point. Yeah. Tobacco cards weren't meant to be collected.
Right. Right. It's funny because I remember back in the day there was a discussion on one of their podcasts, and let me just go out to say kudos if anyone actually watches those. But he came on at one point, made a comment about what happens if a mom buys a vending box for her boy and he pulls a Randy Savage Gold and the boy puts that in a bike spokes and ruins the card. Well, guess what? Now as the kid's right, he can do whatever the hell he wants to do with that card. You don't own it.
Exactly.
When this deal launched though, and there was the video promoting that this was going to change wrestling cards forever, and that wrestling collectors were no longer going to want the older stuff, that it's all going to be the new stuff, right? And that the wrestling all-stars were garbage. I just thought to myself, and Joey, he made the point that was the other statement about they weren't supposed to be collected. Like, think about the most valuable trading cards that exist. The ones that were not meant to be collected, in many cases, are the highest value. But where I took issue with it was this, is like, you're basically saying that every person that collected a wrestling card in the past was an idiot. Like, they've made wrestling cards for 40 plus prior years. And if you want to go back to the 50s, you could, it's even further. But the reality of it is, like, in 1982, the beauty of the Wrestling All-Stars was none of us even knew they existed, right? I mean, you had to sort of be in one of those markets where the magazine was available. The 85 Topps, like, so many collectors today can think back to their childhood and say, oh, I remember there was this Hulk Hogan card or WWF cards, or, if you lived in a market in 88 where Wonderama was available. So, nostalgia is what drives card values in many cases. So basically was saying that everything in the past is bad. And so, I find what I don't like about this quote unquote tribalism is there was no beef ever in wrestling cards. Like nobody had like Joey and I are probably the biggest arch rivals ever. And but it's a friendly rivalry, right? There was no beef. And what ended up happening is a group of people turned everything personal, and it didn't need to be, and it doesn't need to be. But when they constantly badger people on social media, just today I see, and you pointed out earlier that somebody was using my photo as their profile photo. Like that's pretty long. And it's childish. And, I think at the end of the day, they ramped up the negativity. They ramped up the name calling, and Joey, for example. So when I blocked one of the individuals you're talking about was when he went after Joey after he bought the MJF card. Okay. Yeah. And let me tell you something. First of all, it's your money. You can do whatever you want with it, right? You actually like the products. You like wrestling. So for you, it's fun. Okay. How anybody would go after somebody because they paid $3,000 for a card, I just can't relate to that. And I remember chiming in on the negativity, and I was like, do you know that this is Broken Soul 6900 in the registry? Do you even know who you're trying to make fun of? Do you know the depth of his finances and collection? It's ridiculous, And so they came on and did damage. Now back, Tony and Paul, Joey said, I think that those guys have, and Shuckster as well, longtime wrestling collectors, right? The only thing I can say is, unfortunately, they gave those two gentlemen a voice. But guess what? You know what? It was what was happening, and we can either choose to watch or not watch. And, at the end of the day, I think the hobby is going to keep going forward. Topps, it's exciting because Fanatics is so well capitalized, right? So, they're probably going to try to do the best job they can right out of the gate and hopefully for a while. And I think we're in a good spot. I think the card market, though, is in a tough spot right now because so many people bought hoping to flip. And, now all of a sudden as prices have fallen, it's like musical chairs.
I would also interject in there, David. I just think this hobby is bigger than a select group of people. I think everyone, and I can tell you just from the people that I do business with, they collect so much different things. And you know what? They did not like, and I can speak to quite a few. They did not like the way some of this stuff went over on social media the last 2 years because of Panini. In fact, I've had a couple people tell me that they're not even going to ever collect Panini because they were so turned off with the way things had been on social media with the voices screaming as loud as they did. I think it's unfortunate. We those of us that have been in this hobby for a long time. I mean, I've collected cards. I'm 52 years old. I've been collecting cards since I was 7 years old. I've had a wrestling store on eBay, and then I went to my own website, 30 plus years, give or take. I saw the transition between Flair to Topps, Topps to Comic Images and these different brands. And I never saw anything like the vitriol you saw from these two individuals during the Panini era.
Isn't that dude the same age as us, though?
Yeah,
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I'm talking about fucking Huey. Isn't he the same fucking age as us?
He's
Probably.
He looks older than us, but I'm saying, I don't know. But I'm saying, how can you say that all the older shit is garbage? That's what we grew up on, man. That's nostalgia. Yeah. That's what you remember. That's what keeps you collecting.
He's not a wrestling fan, bro. That guy is a woman's wrestling fan.
Correct.
Yeah, he's not a wrestling fan.
That's unbelievable. Man. It blows my fucking mind. It just blows my mind, man.
Yeah, I think most of us have probably been watching wrestling since we were little kids, and
My
I
favorite
always said,
WrestleMania is WrestleMania 4.
yeah,
I can't remember.
like I kind of feel like if you always feel like there's a problem, maybe you're the problem at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like my experience in the wrestling card community is there are two people that like to try to cause trouble, but like everybody else, I'm cool with. I don't
Yeah.
care if you like AEW, great. If you like independent cards, great, because
Well,
they're great too.
Mike,
if you like WWE,
Mike,
great. Like I don't care.
Think about this for a second, Mike. Imagine being at the National and you're on a stage and you're hammering Upper Deck, okay? And then you get off that stage and you're standing in line at Upper Deck to get an autograph of an AEW wrestler. My God, what is up?
And you know,
if you're so angry at AEW and Upper Deck because they're not producing WWE cards or something along the lines of Panini, then shut up. Who cares what you have to say? We don't care. We're still going to collect what we're going to collect. And then, you have this guy again coming out there hammering on Joey about precious metal gems. And what does he do? He goes and puts a thing on Twitter. Look at the breaks I got out of my AEW box. Come on. What is going on with these guys?
And my thing is this, too. If you ever watch a podcast with, like, Tony, for instance, there you go. Tony's infamous thing is, who are you to tell me how to spend my money?
That's right.
You ever see him say that? He says it all.
Yep, Mr. Switzerland. Mr. Switzerland.
I'll buy what I want. Who are you to tell me how to spend my money? But then the narcissist, his ace boy, goes and talks about how Joey spends his money. It's like it's like dealing with politician, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like politics. It's just a bunch of fucking herbs. That's all.
Spend it any way you want to. I'm not a huge AEW fan. I have this because I opened 3 boxes of that stuff because it's metal. I love Metal Universe.
Metal, yeah, the metal cards are
I like wrestling. I don't watch a lot of that, but I know a lot of the guys and I follow it, even if I don't watch it. So why the hell wouldn't I want to open it? And I had a blast. Let me tell you, I took a beating on those 3 boxes.
Yeah.
You're looking at the best card I got out of it. I didn't get an autograph, but I had fun.
You know what? The DMGs are better than the autographs, honestly, in my opinion. But that's the thing. Like, with social media nowadays, you really don't have to watch the shows to know who people are and what's going on. But again,
follow everything.
Me, I'm a wrestling fan, and I got a buddy who's a local buddy. His name's Brandon Holiva. Okay, we call him Hova. He's not real active on social media. He used to be all the time. He's a pure WWE mark. If it ain't WWE, he don't want it. He don't want to deal with it. He won't do nothing. I actually have a picture. He showed up at a indie show one time. I have a picture of me going like this to him because he was there to get an autograph from, I want to say it was Hacksaw or somebody like that.
There you go.
And me and him used to go back and forth. People loved our bickering back and forth. They were like, oh my God, here it is, round 17, Cleaner and Hova. And we would just spit facts back and forth with each other, but all in good fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, why can't things be like that, all in good fun? Everybody likes what they like. Who gives a shit? If you're strictly WWE, that's great. Don't try and make an entire hobby about just what you like. That's what I don't get. Is why are you trying to make an entire hobby about what you like? No, everybody likes different stuff. Collect what you want to collect. Collect it all. Who gives a fuck? I have Panini cards. I don't have many, but I do have some. Cora Jade's my girl, and I just found out the other day that she's Italian now, and I love her even more. And they'll probably call
it has nothing to do with her enhancements, right?
So now they'll call me a stalker and shit.
Yep.
Oh, you fucking creeper. He's a creeper, but I'm not the one at the.
Don't show up at the airport.
Looking for autographs.
Anyway.
Mike, you're telling us you like to look at her pictures and not your Jeff Hardy doll, right?
I mean, sometimes I might take them pictures and the doll in that closet.
Oh
man,
man,
depends on the mood and how I'm feeling that day, I guess.
I want to throw out there too. I think in a roundabout way, this time period with Panini and everything that's going on is finally coming to an end. And
you know what? It's the best. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm going to tell you right now, Panini leaving the hobby is the best thing for the hobby. You mark my words, and you'll see. It is going to be the best thing for the hobby. Maybe even people who had, abrupt feelings for each other or negative feelings towards each other can maybe even put shit in the past and move on. I'm telling you, it's the best thing that can happen. Panini brought out fucking ugliness, hard ugliness out of this hobby. And it's just nuts, man. Again, I laugh at 90% of the shit I see online. Me and Dave talked about this. I'm like, yo, these motherfuckers really think like I give a shit. Like what they have to say. Like it's gonna affect my everyday life. Like I laugh about it. I show my wife.
You don't have to reach.
Yeah, I show my wife that she laughs about it. I go and smoke a fucking blunt and laugh at you clowns. Like fucking get a life, dude.
Oh wow.
But you're taking it seriously, like to the heart.
Yeah.
Like it's like, yo, when I told them I was gonna make a guest appearance at the National, that I told them I was crashing that party, they had the Special Olympics MMA star sitting at the door.
Wow.
Like a bouncer.
Wow.
Bro, I swear.
Tell us more about that.
Maybe that's best left for another day.
You was shitting fucking bricks, bro.
Oh wow.
I just think better days are going to be ahead of us.
I just laugh about it. And I just laugh.
I just think a pause right now is probably going to be a good thing for people to kind of, decide and reflect what they want to start collecting going forward and stuff like that. I don't think it's a bad thing at this point. You got some people, like one of the other things that I heard recently on a Facebook thread was, well, maybe Panini and Topps can share the license for the next 2 years.
Not gonna happen.
Exactly. I've never heard anything so stupid in my life. But the truth of the matter is,
and that would be even worse if you thought the market was flooded before.
Yeah.
Have two companies making cards. That's a real fucking genius idea.
I want Topps to take a break. Get their agenda going as far as what they want to really start doing with WWE cards again, and just come out swinging with some great products. And I think one thing that Topps probably will have learned from losing the license of getting it back is taking a little bit more care to bring product that people want, not just throw stuff out there and think that people are going to buy it just because. I think Topps is going to give us some stellar products in the future, and I'll be honest with you, I'm looking forward to being able to say I bought another pack of Topps cards again.
I'm excited too, and I'm like I said, I'm going to collect regardless of who makes whatever. I still bought Panini boxes and stuff. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan. I'm going to still collect figures. Okay, so this is another thing. Okay, so regardless of who makes wrestling figures, okay, we had it where Jax was making wrestling figures for the longest time. Mattel bought the license. Mattel had the license. You have people saying, "Oh, I ain't touching a Mattel figure." Then they saw the Mattel figures and they were like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
nice.
I gotta buy the whole wave. Now those people won't even touch a Jax figure. It's like the companies have their goods and their bads, and all I've done with the community over the last 2 years with Panini is try and tell people about the knowledge I have and help people in the community. Whether you think it's negative or not, what I'm saying, sorry, sometimes negativity is truth. Okay, it is what it is.
Mike,
I would even go on to say, Mike, piggyback on what you're saying is, you have to be really careful to take the opinions of people who don't have a lot of experience in the hobby, don't own a lot of product, doesn't turn around and sell a lot of product. For these people to try to tell you how to spend your money or what you need to invest in, if you lost a lot of money because of that the last couple of years, I would say to everyone, you really need to look at who you're listening to.
Anybody who invested heavily into Panini over the last 2 years lost a lot of money. End of story.
what I want to say is Mike brought sports card knowledge to the wrestling space. See,
Yep.
none of us there had never been a launch of a product that had a sports card feel like Panini Prism. And so all he did was use prior experience to point stuff out. And as we discussed right out of the gate, I mean, you gave people the roadmap, and it was shocking how accurate you were, and I think people sometimes they don't want to hear something's going to go down, but quite frankly, well, I mean, I made a bad stock trade this week, right? That, I lost a decent chunk on, and the reality of it was my mistake, but I had to pull the plug because ultimately I think it's going to go down more. And in the card world, it's the same phenomenon. It's just like stocks. They go up and they go down. And sometimes you just got to cut bait, and sometimes you just have to deal with the facts.
Correct. Before you get nothing out of it. I agree 100%. And, that's the thing. When I'm trying to help people, oh, you're an asshole. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay. But you continue doing what you're doing. How do you feel now 2 years later? Yeah. All right.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, that's a pretty good place to wrap it up, I think. So I want to thank everybody for giving us some time on their Saturday afternoon to talk wrestling cards. I mean, I know so hard to get you guys to talk about wrestling cards, but I appreciate you all being on.
Hey, pleasure as always.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.